let's talk a little bit about it right at the gate, shall we? 6 years ago today. I still remember where I was. I was in the middle of my bed in a prayer position as that last at bat was happening, and the ball hit Rizzo's mitt, and I went to jump out of my bed, and I got caught in the sheet a little bit, and I almost face planted out of my bed. Then ran, and my mom met me in the doorway of her bedroom, and I remember picking her up, and she said the next day her ribs were sore because of how hard I grabbed her and hugged her because we were all so excited. Because again, for me, like my parents were both Cubs fans, so like that's what made me a Cubs fan. So to see them get jubilant and excited about it was cool too. But Juice, I like where your head's at though with that, right? Like I think that's a fair thing. We can all sit here and be like, damn it, that was a fun year. Like that whole ride was fun because I remember that whole playoff time. Tyler, you were mentioning after game one losing your voice after the Baez home run, and like. Yeah. I still remember watching like game 2 of the World's, or not game 2. It might have been no, it might have been, I think it was game 2 of that Giants series. Okay. I remember watching that up at the bar after like one of our college football games because I was a senior in college that year. I was like hanging out with a bunch of my buddies that were Cubs fans from school, and like, I those are the memories I have, right? Like of the pieces throughout the way too. Like I was with a bunch of teammates after a game. We were watching them clinch the NL pennant. Like those all kind of resonate as well. But that's my story's not as exciting. Juice, I mean, you have a pretty good one. Tyler, I don't know your story though. I would love to hear yours as well. Just again, like Juice said, we'll celebrate one more time of what happened 6 years ago today.
I believe I was 2 years in at the fire department. But on my days off, I was delivering pizzas for Domino's, and like we said beforehand, that was the most stressed out I've been up until this point now. So stressed. Like you said, I lost my voice after the Baez home run, but I was delivering pizzas, and I had called into work in the NLCS, or I called into Domino's, and they lost that night. And I was like, never again. Never again. I'm not calling in no more. I had a hat. I had this Anthony Rizzo hat that I got earlier that year. I always brought it with me. I either had it on the fire truck, I had it in my car while I was delivering pizzas. Always had it. And I remember I had my phone in the back where I folded boxes. Box folding Domino's Pizza Champion, by the way. Not official, but I was. But I just remember being from the lowest low from when Rajah Davis hit that home run. I remember being at the lowest, just the lowest low to the point where I was looking into like, thinking about calling in sick the next day, to just being at just the highest high. Like I just had delivered a pizza when they hit the ground ball to Bryant. I remember driving around the square, just blaring my horn, almost at midnight in this little town I live in, and calling my dad. Like my dad's a big Giants fan, but when he's not rooting for the Giants, he was rooting for the Cubs. And I remember just calling him. Oh, I was crying, dude. It was, just great. So fun. Such a, and like you said, like I was saying earlier, though, so fun, but so stressful, like so stressful. But man, I loved it. It was great.
It is great. And like Jeremiah said here in the comments, that is the beauty of baseball, right? I mean, that's what we get up and live for. And Juice, yeah. you were ootin' a boot with the Cubs faithful, right?
Yeah, well, so World Series, yes. Some of the playoff run, I would go out and I would. I know Joey for a fact was out in Wrigley.
He was,
he was. But for me, so I'll start all the way at Game 3. So Game 3, I was watching normal spot, hanging out, and if you guys remember, Game 4 was close, obviously, to Halloween, and as you guys know. Here at On Tap, really good friends, and I've been longtime friends with Buzz. We had our own friend group that every year we had a Halloween party. Well, this year actually fell on the year that Buzz was renovating his first house. So he had things all over and was unable to throw the Halloween party. So I stepped up and I said, yeah, I'll throw it. So I'm sitting at game 3 with my family, and they lose that one. And I'm like, man, like I really don't want to have this party. It's a lot of people that I don't watch these games with coming into the house. I'm entertaining people, having to run around and make sure that, everybody's having a good time. I want to be able to watch the game. And my mom, being the saint that my mom is, and my sisters, they helped me out a little bit while that was going on. But obviously they lose, game 4.
Yep. And
I'm standing there with Buzz, and I'll never ever forget this, because I'm sitting there like, man, hey, that's over. That was fun. It's a good run. You never expect them to win 3 in a row against a team like that with the pitching they had and the run that the Indians were on. It did. It seemed, insurmountable at that point. And I remember Buzz being the good side. He goes, "You're gonna make a series out of it." So he's like, "I don't know if you'll win the whole thing, but if you win Game 5, there'll be a Game 7." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm sulking in my beer and like, yeah, this thing's over. He's full of shit. So Game 5 happens, and this is when I was still in the liquor industry. So I had to count inventory the night of Game 5. So I watched and listened to Game 5 on the radio for 5 innings. And I don't think I've ever counted more in my life.
So you had to get stuck listening to Aaron Boone.
Yeah, I'm sitting. Yeah, it was bad. But, I mean, it was something. At that point, hey, it's way better than, not knowing what was going on. Yeah. But so around the 5th inning, we finished. But I'll never forget, we always did like a meal before we counted. The store paid for, what we ate before we got to go do the inventory. And it was pizza, Beggar's Pizza. And as Rondo, I hate Beggar's Pizza. I think it's low end, whatever. So they won that game, right? And I raced home, and my aunt and all these people are over at my house, and I'm like, that's my seat. I'm sitting in my seat. Everybody, nobody's like, nobody sat in that seat. All right, I'm back. So we watched
everybody move.
Yeah, pretty much. So we're watching the game. They close it out, and I looked at everybody. My aunt and uncle, they live in Chicago. I'm like, I don't care what you're doing. You're coming back, for Game 6. You figure it out. I don't care what you're doing. You got to make sure you're here. They did, and I made sure we ordered Beggar's Pizza. They won Game 6 pretty handily. And I looked at everybody else and I said, they're going to play Game 7, and every single person who's in this room is going to be in this room.
Be here.
And I will go and pick every single one of you up if I have to. And we're eating the same shit again. So get your appetite ready. No. So Game 7 happens. The same people came. We're watching the game. And obviously, they're leading comfortably. Yeah. And my dad calls his best friend, diehard White Sox fan. And was like, hey, they're come over. Feel free. He comes over. It all fell apart. Oh, no. And White Sox fan guy, is yelling, this is the best baseball game I've ever seen. And I'm sitting over here like, this is not
Shut up. Yeah, you're like, no.
To the point where, and I'll never forget, in the 7th inning, I went to go grab a beer out of the garage fridge, and I'm walking past him, and he taps me on the shoulder and goes, congratulations on your World Series. And I said, don't you fucking dare.
Oh, man.
So, fast forward, they come back, they win. Awesome. I had bought a full case of shitty champagne just in case. But I did not bring it in the house. It sat in my car that whole time with the receipt in it, because I was too worried that if I were to bring it in even near the house, that it would jinx it.
Bad juju, absolutely.
Ran in there, and I made sure I lit the receipt on fire, and we poured it all over ourselves. Our whole family was out there popping bottles in our backyard. It's awesome. I went to work the next day. Smelled like booze. Was told to go home. That's what I tweeted out today. Smelled like booze. I was told to go home. I said, well, I'm not going to be back for a week because I'm going on a bender. I got a parade tomorrow or 2 days from now. I'm going on a bender. So that's my story. Hey, it's on the record here, and that's it. This is the last time that I'm bringing this one up until they win another one, and I got another one to sit and talk about on the show with you guys. Because it's not that I didn't love that season. It's time. It's the one thing I always like. I always kind of laughed at. The South Side being like, oh, 2005. I'm like, that was forever ago. That's 20 years ago. Yeah. I said, if I were ever to win one, I wouldn't bathe in it that long. And I'm ready. I'm done. 6 years, plenty of time I had my celebrations. I got the DVDs. I got all the memorabilia. I saw it. I'm here. I want another one.
Yeah, and I think that's the right method to take with it too, because it is one thing to enjoy those wins, right? But it's natural to want more, and I think us as Cubs fans have the page has been turned, right? It's no longer just one before I die. It's no, let's keep doing this. This shit's fun. Like winning World
Oh yeah.
Series is cool and tough. Like let's keep doing it. And I think that's what Jed Hoyer and Dan Kantrovitz and Carter Hawkins and company in the front office feel as well. And even David Ross and the players on the field